Welcome, guys, to ILWPOD. I'm your host, as always, Justin Wright. Today, we are here with the CSW World Heavyweight Champion, Conan Lycan. How we doing, man?
What's up, man? How we doing?
Excited. I really do appreciate you coming on here. Something we've talked about the last couple CSW events. Glad we could work it out
Yep.
uh, at the start of the new year.
Yeah, of course, bro. Yeah, yeah, you were asking and everything like that. I was like, yeah, I gotta make sure I set some time aside to get this done. It's been busy with like the holidays and traveling and closing out the year and all that stuff, but we're good now. We got some time before a little downtime before the show starts next week, and then we'll be off to the races for 2025. So yeah, let's
It's
go.
exciting stuff, I bet.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Before we get into any questions, is there any social medias or anything that you want to plug, get out of the way, that fun stuff?
It's just at Conan Lycan on everything, like all platforms and all that stuff. So at Conan Lycan, no spaces, no numbers, nothing.
Easy. I like it. I'll start where I always start, and the podcast is the I Love Wrestling podcast. So, where did you find slash fall in love with professional wrestling?
So when I was 3 years old, actually, so like my dad had a couple of nightclubs, so like he was never like home at night and everything like that. And like a thing that me and my mom would do, we would always watch it. We would watch Raw, and I remember like I would sit there and she'd put me in front of the TV and I'd have like a little elephant sippy cup and just watch Raw. And it was like every single week and SmackDown. And yeah, just ever since I was a little kid. And then I grew up, like, obviously, like I had friends in school that would watch it because it was huge, like the Attitude Era and all that stuff. And then I had a trampoline, so then I would always be the kid that I'd have all my friends at the house and make sure that they're having wrestling matches with me. And I would steal my sister's camera, put some music playing out the window for entrances. I'd do the whole thing. So yeah, I've been obsessed since I was a little kid. Yep.
So, like, would you say you was a sports kid growing up? Did you participate in like your football, basketball, stuff like that?
Yeah, so like I come from a pretty athletic background. Like, so my dad actually he played for the Yankees for a little bit. He got hurt. Um, my uncle played professional baseball. My brother played professional baseball, but I grew up playing football, baseball, and all that stuff. But like football was where it was at for me. And yeah, I played football all the way through college. I played Division I football. And yeah, and I
Where
love
at?
University of Albany. I was committed. I was going to play at Coastal Carolina, and that's where I really wanted to go. And then stuff with like coaching and recruiting and all that stuff. So I was like, I'm going to stay home because we have a university right up the road in their Division I. So I was like, I'll stay home and play, and then everyone can come to my games. But then I was there for a bit, and then after after a little bit of time, it was just one of those nights, man. I was watching WWE Network, and I was in my dorm. I was obsessing over it because I never grew out of wrestling, and I dropped out so I could do this. So yeah.
Okay. And is that where you went to Black and Brave, or was there any other schools in between then and there?
That was it. I did my research like everywhere though. I was looking at a bunch of different places and everything like that. But back then, in 2018, there wasn't really. I couldn't like there wasn't a Nightmare Factory. There wasn't like certain things like that. And like Seth Rollins at that time, like he was one of my favorite wrestlers too. So I also had a connection. So when I was playing before, a buddy of mine when I was growing up, he went and played football at University of Iowa. And I always tell this story because this was like my connection into wrestling. But his teammate was Steve Manders. I don't know if you know one called Manders.
Yep.
Um, his teammate was Steve Manners at Iowa, and he went to Black and Brave. So Jordan was talking to me about it, my buddy that played at Iowa, and he was like, "I know a guy." So I called Steve. I asked him how it was, and I signed up for Black and Brave, paid him full, and packed my car up and moved across country.
What was your experience like with Black and Brave, and how long were you with them?
So I was at Black and Brave at the end of 2018. The experience was really good. Very, very challenging and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I'm coming in, I'm playing sports my whole life, football my whole life, and all that stuff. But we do a conditioning test where you got to get into the school, like where you could like just see if like you could handle like the physicality and everything like that. It was pretty taxing. Got through that. did great all the way through. It was a pretty good experience, probably one of the best experiences of my life. Met one of my best friends in the whole world there, Nathan Fraser. He was my bunk mate. And then we're still close to this day. Very grateful for that. And then after I graduated there, I probably stuck around there for another 3 years, helping out coach all the classes that came through, helping everybody and trying to get all the new kids on the road once they graduate and all that stuff. So yeah, I was there for a bit.
How did you go about breaking out from like Black and Brave and getting into like the indie scene?
Just really, honestly, I gotta give credit where credit's due. Steve Manders was really big on that. Like at that time, especially, but like when COVID hit, kind of put like a little lull on like everyone's life. So like everybody's obviously. So GCW was running a lot, but Manders already built his name up like well before all this, and he was doing all these shows and all that stuff. So I didn't want to waste any time. So like even when everyone was during like lockdown and all that stuff, I was hopping in cars. We're driving across the country every other week and going everywhere, like literally back and forth between Iowa and New Jersey, Iowa, Philadelphia, stopping in Cleveland on the way, doing like 30-plus hour round trips all the time. And then I just didn't want to be one of those guys, and it happens a lot. It happens a lot. They stick around and they think that they'll get to the next level in their career just by being in front of Seth Rollins, and it doesn't work that way. It takes a lot to get anything out of this business, and you get out of it what you put into it and all that stuff. And I realized that young, and I just hit the road and I wrestled everywhere and anywhere. I wrestled for no money. I've wrestled for very little money. I've slept in my car countless nights, everything. So it's like you gotta. It's a risk. It's part of it, but I never wanted to be stagnant, and I feel like the more you learn to just like adjust, like it's you want to be in front of different crowds, people that like different things. You want to face different people in the ring that have different pacing, different styles, um, just so you can be an all around better performer and all that stuff. And I realized that, and that's all I've been trying to do for the past 5 years now. So yeah,
Where did you make your like debut at?
my debut is actually crazy. So when it's like it's kind of like a rough like it's different of like when I actually started. So like I graduated Black and Brave at the end of 2018. I moved back to New York. I came back to New York, and there was this place in Massachusetts that was running. I think it was called Truly Independent Wrestling or something like that. And I would go up there, and I was like helping out with these shows. Never got like a real like shot like straight up. And then eventually they were just like, all right, we're gonna give you a singles match. All right. So I was like, all right, cool. And this is already like, I don't know, probably 8 months after I graduated and all that stuff. And it's really hard to like get your first match under your belt. Just like you're in front of a crowd now. You gotta adjust and all that stuff. So I was remember tweaking about it, and I finally got my first match. Did really well. Everything went great, but then I didn't wrestle again. Like I was going to all these shows and helping out, but I didn't get a chance to wrestle again for months after that. So it was very sporadic going into COVID. And then when COVID hit and everything like shut down, because our school, Black and Brave, is a private gym, we were allowed to go in there and work out like certain times of the day and all that stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm moving back to Iowa. So then 2020, I moved back to Iowa with maybe 5 matches under my belt. And still for that whole year, it was very sporadic because you could wrestle on those close tapings and stuff. But I moved back there so I could continue to go. So yeah, I started at this place in Massachusetts in like the Berkshire Mountains.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And was you like, COVID hits, you decide to move back to Iowa? Was there any hesitation? Like, yeah, you just went back to New York and then going all the way back to Iowa. Was there like any
Nope.
nothing?
No,
Okay.
my my friends were that moved back there or stayed there were consistently like working out and everything like that. New York was pretty strict, so like even I worked at a gym at that time, and I wasn't allowed to go into work or nothing. So I was like, damn, I got to work out. So I packed my car up, moved right back out there, moved back into the bunkhouse, and I was with my friends. And honestly, like I know that everybody hated COVID. Hot take though, for about 2 years there, like 2020 and 2021, I had some of the greatest times with my boys just being out there because it was a double-edged sword. You're in Iowa, there's nothing going on, and especially like the whole world shut down. So
Yeah.
nothing over wrestling, working out with your boys, eating food, and getting paid to do so. It was awesome. And yeah, I don't know. Like I progressed a lot, I think, in that time. Just because I got to experience it with them. So like I knew that I had to go out there, packed up, went out there, and yeah, I was with like three of my boys, and we just obsessed over wrestling, and then hit the ground running once everyone, like a lot of people stopped during COVID. Once like crowds started coming back and all that stuff, we were already going. So we just hit the ground running.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it was just one of those. The trip to Iowa was more of a let's keep the ball going while the world shut down,
Yeah.
while other people are sitting back and waiting on it to open back up.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, it was a hard time for a lot of people, but it's just like it's just one of those things. You got to try to make. You got to make the best out of it. And we had the opportunity to go to Seth's gym that like stayed open for us at like certain times. So like we would wake up, go down, work out, and then the rest of the day do what we had to do for wrestling and all that stuff. If that meant going back and working on promos and putting pinning up a black sheet on the wall and filming it and stuff like that, just to like see what we could do. Like we did everything, driving around, seeing what closed tapings we could go to because there were certain places and I think Indiana that we went to. Yeah, Indiana, New Jersey, Philadelphia. We were on Fight Forever for GCW, and that was like a 24-hour show in Philly, and it
Yeah.
was the night of my life. But yeah, driving back and forth. Like we would literally drive from Iowa, go get there that night, do the show, drive right back to Iowa. It was tough, but when you're in the car with like five dudes and I don't know. It was definitely a different experience, but I'm very grateful for it because I think it really put in perspective what I had to do once the world was back up and running. So
Okay.
yeah,
Um, from doing some research, I realized that you got to experience WrestleMania 35
yep.
live and in person. Just as a fan, what was that like? It's a somewhat historic event, first women's main event. Uh, Rollins beat Brock Lesnar, things like that. What was that like being able to go there and just enjoy it as a fan?
The whole week was crazy because so I was with my best friend Nathan Fraser. So this is way before he was even signed. So he was Ben Carter.
Okay.
He before he was yeah signed to WWE and all that stuff. And he flew up from Tennessee where he was going to college. And we had a whole week of stuff. So there was a Black and Brave seminar that we attended. We went to the Evolve tryout with Gabe Sapolsky. We went to a couple of indie shows, and then we went to Mania. So it was a whole week of things. It was really good. And then obviously our trainer comes out and beats Brock Lesnar in the first match. So we were losing our minds. But being in MetLife and just seeing everything because that was my first ever Mania. That was incredible. So like I don't know. It's just one of those things like you see it and you're just like I would do anything to make sure that in my lifetime I get to be in that ring in front of 80,000 people. So yeah, it was incredible.
Okay. I just, as a fan, I wanted to realize what that experience was like. So thanks for that insight. It's something I haven't got to do yet. I know there's
Never been to
probably
Maine.
countless others that never been to Mania. It's on the list of things I got to do.
So yeah, I went to 35,
Okay.
um, and then the one in Tampa at the Buck Stadium during COVID.
Okay.
And we got because we wrestled on the GCW Collective that year down in Tampa, and then
Okay.
'92 of Mania. It was raining out crazy, but we got to go to Mania for $30. So we were like, yeah, we're not gonna not go. So we went. It was a crazy experience though because the whole stadium is filled with cardboard cutouts. So it's like four
Yeah.
cardboard cutouts and then like three of your buddies and then another four cardboard cutouts. But like it was still another amazing experience because it's such a production. And I remember they had like these drones that did like the Bray Wyatt logo in the sky. And yeah, it was insane. It was insane. You got to
Sick.
have to go to Mania.
Okay. It's in the plans for eventually to go to Mania. I'm waiting. It'd be nice if they'd come near the Chicago area, just make it easier. It's all the travel that makes it difficult.
Yeah. I think they're gonna. I think this year in Vegas, I think it's gonna be really cool because the Raiders Stadium. I've been to Vegas, for wrestling, and like that stadium's huge. Like it's ridiculous. I know that the Mania week this year is gonna be absolutely insane. So yeah, if you ever get the opportunity, I would say do it. But I mean, I think that there'll be some close to Chicago in the near future for sure, especially if the Bears get that new stadium and everything and all
Yeah.
that. I could see
I
that.
think it would, if there was any stadiums around here with a dome, it might make it easier.
Yeah. Yep.
That's just, I think that's what WWE is waiting for. You got to think a Chicago stadium crowd would be insane because
Reason.
wrestling, they love Chicago. We just need the right stadium so we're not freezing.
Yeah, because it was cold at MetLife. It was like a wind tunnel in there, ridiculous. We were sitting there and we were freezing, all huddled together. But it was still just an amazing experience. So it's so incredible.
um, before I get into like any specific matches or moments in your career, you've worked for a litany of different promotions. Something I do on here is I'll run down them. If you just want to give like a short explanation of what it was like to work with them and any memories you'd like to share of that promotion.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll start with Black Craft.
Fuck. I mean,
You're good.
um, no comment.
Okay. Okay. I'll go next to JCW.
JCW is cool. Yeah, that was cool. That was another little side thing that GCW is doing in that carousel room in Atlantic City.
Yep.
Uh, I got to have a really good match with Manders actually at JCW. I enjoyed that. That was good.
What about, we'll move to GCW. What was working with them like?
It was cool because it was just I followed them around for a lot of time because my um, Nathan Fraser was wrestling there, Steve Manders was wrestling there, and I was just always in the car with them. And then I eventually got my opportunity, and I made friends with like Jimmy Lloyd and a couple of people and all that stuff. That ended up putting me on, and it was a good experience while it lasted. Yeah, definitely.
Would you say that, you'd like to go back?
Yeah, if the time is right and the right place, and they want to hit me up, then yeah, I'd be up for that.
Okay. What about Black Label Pro?
That was cool. Yeah, definitely. It was in one of my more favorite venues to wrestle in Logan Square when I was there, and yeah, definitely that would be another cool thing. I'm not there's yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it would be cool.
Okay. Lastly, I'll go with AEW. You've got to do a spot or two there. Well, was working with AEW like at all?
AEW.
Yeah.
Um, it was all right. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, they had me down. I was at the Orlando tapings. They let me open up the show. This was a really cool experience. The it used to be called the Pepsi Arena. It's called the MVP Arena now. It's the big arena in Albany where I went to all of the SmackDowns and Raws when I was a little kid, and like I've
Okay.
always wrestled in there, and they let me open up the show there in that arena, and that was like a bucket list thing for me to do in the first place. So yeah, very incredible experience for that. But I haven't been back since. But yeah, it was awesome while I had the chance.
So like getting to wrestle in an arena where you went as, young, like when you were younger, not a child, what's that like being in front of an audience that you were once a part of?
It's crazy because it's like a blur. Like I yeah, I don't know. I've been there. Like I used to beg for tickets every time they came to town and all that stuff, and I would get them, and we would go, and it was just like one of like the most fondest memories I've ever had. Like when I was like a little kid, and yeah, like when they called me up and they were like, yeah, like we want to do this or whatever. I was like, yeah, I'm jumping on that. And just like that whole day, for whatever reason, just went by so quick. I can't even tell you what it was like or what I was looking at when I was in the ring or anything because it was like so surreal to even be in that position. My best friends growing up, they made it. They got tickets and everything like that, and they were in probably like I don't know the fifth row. And I
Badass.
remember looking at them, giving them a little point and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just remember it was incredible. Yeah.
Okay. Um, We talked a little bit about Chicago. That's where I've met you. That's where I'm familiar with you. But you come here a lot. One of the promotions you work for, and like I mentioned, you were their current world heavyweight champion, CSW. Um, what went into like joining like them, so to speak, or coming and working for them? And what does CSW mean to like your career so far?
So, um, I remember this is it sounds like a little bit weird, but I just remember seeing their logo all the time. Like, and I was still trying to like I was in that phase of my career. I'm just starting. I'm trying to reach out to everyone and anyone, and I just remember seeing their logo all the time. I was like, that's a pretty cool logo and all that stuff. And I knew a couple people that work there, so I um I was like, yeah, I'm gonna end up going and all that stuff. So I contacted the promoter. He saw I had some stuff that I've done prior where he could take a look and everything like that. He was like, yeah, definitely come out. And I went out there and I basically busted my ass for years. A lot of the Chicago guys don't understand like what goes into that just because it's in their backyard, but um, and that's not a knock on anybody. It's just it took a lot to go there every single month, and I have just because it is one of my most favorite places to work, and I have nothing but grateful praise for Jason Hades and Steve Boz, the two dudes that run the place, because they believed in me and they were one of the first promotions to believe in me and basically give me the ball and let me run with it and all that stuff and let me face notable names and put me in situations where I'm going to learn and get better. CSW means so much to me as a performer. Like, I'll when I sign my first contract and when I go and do the things that I will do in this business, it will always start with CSW and what they've done for me and the positions that they have put me in because they believed in me. And I'll always be grateful for that place. And someday I hope and pray that I am a gazillionaire from wrestling so I could just give back just because it's really done a lot for me and I don't know where I'd be without them.
You know, me and you talked off camera about the environment, the crowd, the stuff like that at CSW shows. Have there been like other promotions that you've worked for that had such a like strong connection with the audience?
There's no This is not a knock on any other company. Absolutely not. Because I love so many a variety of different promotions and all that stuff for so many different things. There's just nothing like CSW, and there's nothing that I've ever been really a part of that is kind of directed the same exact way. Um, just everything that goes into the storylines and how it's always 5 steps ahead and like what we're gonna do and the plans that go into everything and all that stuff. It's in the production quality and everyone that helps out from top to bottom with the place to make it the way that it is. It's just I don't know when you're there, it just feels special. And like even you said, like just being there and all that stuff, opposed to like the other indies that you've seen and all that stuff, it's just different. And I've heard that from so many people, whether it's fans, workers, or anything like that. Um, it is just I don't know. It's a very well oiled machine that is like it knows what it's doing. It plans. It takes the time to do so, and I don't know. I'm just very happy to be a part of it, honestly. And then for the fact that I'm in the position of being the champion there, and being able to really help out anyone that needs it and be kind of raised to a certain level there and all that stuff. I'm just forever grateful. Like it is just a great place.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You've got to wrestle a ton of names while working with CSW. I'm gonna kind of like the promotions things. I'll run
Yep.
down the list a little bit, and if you want to just tell us a little bit about working with them guys, uh, yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
Okay.
I'll start with somebody you've already mentioned, Ken Anderson. What was it like working him?
Crazy. It's like there's been so many like times in like my career so far that like I don't know. I sound like a little kid. But that's just because I am at heart and like I don't know. It's watching him when I was like a little kid and everything like that, and then it's like, oh, guess what? You're gonna face him now and all that. It was pretty crazy. And it's like I know he's like older now and all that stuff. it was just very cool to talk to him, listen to what he had to say, any critiques, anything like that. So yeah, very very great experience.
A lucha libre legend you got to face was Mecha Wolf. Very
Yeah.
interesting character too. What was that like?
Oh, awesome. One of those matches that was like it was out of the blue. I didn't ask for. It was just like, yo, this is what we're gonna do, and I was all for it. And I want to face him again because it was awesome. He's good style. I think that we meshed really well and all that stuff. He was Mr. 450. I'm Mr. 450 now, so it was cool.
Is there any struggles facing somebody with like a language barrier, or was there a language barrier? I should
Oh,
say
no, there
also.
wasn't. Yeah, he speaks perfect. Yeah, he's good.
Okay.
But I've faced certain people that do, and I mean, there's a lot of pointing and stuff like that. But
Okay.
it's all like universal, so like everyone gets it. But yeah,
I know Mecha Wolf does a lot of work in the United States, so that was one of those things I wasn't sure if he was fluent or not. So
he's
it's
actually
cool that
former CSW champion.
okay, I didn't know that. I'll have to brush up on my history.
Like when they first started, I didn't even know
Okay.
that I was facing him. I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, he came there forever ago."
That's badass.
Yeah.
Somebody else that's there that has recently been tagging with Steve Boz is Marche Rocket. Like, what's it like working with him?
Marche, I can't again, like just another great person that I've met along the way and all that stuff. He has been very helpful to everything. Like I've gotten to work with him a few times now, and I don't know. He's one of my favorite people to wrestle. His chops suck. They're the hardest chop I've ever taken in my life. Like legitimately sounds like a baseball bat when he's swinging his hand at you. But he's a good dude, a lot of experience, and yeah, just a lot of talent and all that stuff. Again, we mesh well, two big dudes that can just go at it, and yeah, I love Marche Rocket. He's the man.
What about Leo Rush?
Leo, yeah, that was another one of those things where
It's got to
it was
be fun.
out of the blue, and watched him a lot on TV, and then we finally got to go in there and have a match. It was cool. Yeah, I would love to run it back with him too in the near future. That'd be awesome.
And that was right before. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was right before his AEW signing, his
Yeah.
latest AEW signing.
Yep. Yep. It was right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two more. So I'm just not running names at you, but Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yeah. One of my favorite people of all time. Speedball is, and I truly, and just because I've talked to a lot of people that are people in this business. I think he's got the greatest mind in professional wrestling out of anyone I've ever met in my entire life. And I think that he just is an encyclopedia for professional wrestling and all that stuff. And the way he explains certain things and the way he puts things together, I would love to just learn from him. And I do every time I'm around him and all that stuff. I learn something new. I think he is just a good person, an amazing wrestler. The match with him was awesome. Learned a lot. It was a long, painful experience, but came out on top. But he's just a great dude, and again, another one of those guys that like I'd work with him every day of the week and twice on Sunday if you let me. So it's just I don't know. He's one of those guys that you get in there with him, you're going to learn, you're going to get better, and it's scary because of the caliber of person that he is and the matches like him and Will Ospreay, one of the best matches I've ever seen in my entire life.
Insane.
It's like to be in there with people that are doing stuff like that, and it really puts you to the test. And again, just grateful, so grateful to be able to step in there with a guy like that.
You mentioned like he's got one of the best minds of the business, and that's something that I've heard universally. Like I've had some younger talent from CSW on here. I've had Jack Valor and Eddie Grayson, two great young upstart guys, but they did the seminar with him, and they was like they probably learned so much from Mike Bailey and just the seminar that it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
definitely somebody that I'm gonna have to get on the podcast eventually.
Yeah.
But great guy. Um, Last but not least, I'm gonna go with Moose.
Moose. Another again, like Sounds like there's so many people that I'm running into that are just great. I'm very blessed for a lot of the people that I've crossed paths with. Moose, another guy that has taken the time to, he sees something in me. He believes in me, and we got to mix it up. Um, I think that in the near future, that'll be something that we could revisit again. He is he's a good dude. He's a football guy just like myself. And he's got an eye for talent and everything. And I'm not saying that because I'm biased, because he has spotted it in me. He knows what he's talking about. Another good one to sit there and talk wrestling with. Um, Super grateful for the experience with him, and I think there'll be more to come for sure.
Okay. Before we get into your latest champion, like your latest CSW championship win, I want to talk a little bit about AAW. Another promotion, big promotion in Chicago. It's got some history with it. Can you tell us a little bit about your time with them? And, you just kind of recently had your loser leaves town match against Tupu.
Yeah.
If that, just can you tell us a little bit like that? And if we could ever see you back in AAW, or if that's the end of that chapter.
AAW, another one of those going to Black and Brave and everything like that, just because of Danny Daniels, of what he has done for like the people that train at Black and Brave and all that stuff. It's one of those things where it's like you definitely want to go to AIW after Black and Brave. So it was a bucket list thing for me. And obviously, if anyone knows anything about AIW, the talent that has come out of that place in the last 10 years, ridiculous. Like,
Insane.
everybody's on TV. So it was amazing that I got the opportunity to work there. I was extremely grateful for the years that I spent there, going to every show consistently without missing a single one. Like, legitimately, I did everything that I could. Um, I'm grateful for the place for sure. I I know that I left. I know I lost my match, and Tupu was the better man that day. But it's professional wrestling, so again, never say never. Um, I may be back. I may be back. You might have to keep your eyes peeled. You might have to look in the crowd. I don't know. You'll never know when I'm going to pop up there.
Okay. Uh, just to give credit where credit's due, Tupu is another guy that is absolutely insane in the ring. I believe he's another Black and Brave.
Yeah. Yep. He was with me and Nathan Fraser. We all started together.
What's he like? And as a fellow graduate, could we expect big things out of Tupu as well?
Big things, real big things. He's one of my best friends in the business too. Like, we all started together. He's really finding his footing now with what he's doing, and he looks like he's having a lot of fun, because he is. I love that dude. Even though I left AAW because of him, but I have a lot of praise and thanks for the things that he's done for me with other places. And I think that he's definitely one of those guys that you're gonna have to keep your eye on him, because he's got a lot of potential to do a lot of big things in this business. I think he will. And yeah, I don't know. He's a good dude. He's trucking along, and I think that he will get a shot somewhere big real soon.
I believe he has a shot for the CSW World Title, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Uh, we are no strangers to each other. Honestly, if I faced, he is the number one person I think that I've faced in this bit. Like, we've wrestled each other so many times, it's not even funny. So he's definitely someone I got to worry about, because he knows me just as good as I know him. Even though we're
Okay.
friends, the bell will ring, and we're gonna have to throw down. So I don't know when that's gonna be. It's all when he wants to cash in and all that
Yep.
stuff. But I don't know. I'll keep my head on a swivel.
Fair enough. Now I want to dive before we get off here into your CSW, your latest, what's going on with the CSW Championship. You just beat Warhorse for it not too long ago in a steel cage match. Phenomenal match.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about that cage match? and what it's like to be able to compete in one of those matches with somebody like Warhorse?
Warhorse, another guy, he's been around for a while. He's got a lot of experience. He's done a lot of cool things in the business. So, um, crazy when you step in there with a guy like that because they know they've been a lot of situations where they know how to adapt and overcome and all that stuff. I had to play, or I had to play his games for a while. He played a lot of mind games with me for months before all of that. But that cage is very unforgiving. A lot of people don't know I broke my hand in that match. And yeah, I broke my hand in that match. I'm still dealing with it. Um, and it was very just unforgiving. But I mean, it kept the riffraff out for the most part and got the job done and everything. So that's all I could say about that.
That was my first indie like steel cage match I've ever seen. Like I've seen them in person at like WWE and stuff, but it was a badass match. Actually, the first time me and you had a conversation was after that match.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, so that was my first CSW show too. So it was a great match, great experience.
yep,
And that was one of the many matches of that night that got me hooked into CSW. So just as a fan, I want to give you your props on that.
yeah. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Of course. And then the following month, you come out the gate hot and you defend your championship against Matt Cardona.
Yep.
What was that match like? Because the crowd was insane. They obviously would have much rather you fought Chelsea Green than Matt Cardona. But what was that match like?
Uh, I mean, man, he's a former Intercontinental Champion and was in the WWE forever and very nerve wracking. But I got to go in there and work with a guy that's been around the block. He's faced a lot of people in the business. He's an indie legend now. He's a deathmatch king, all that stuff. Um, I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I was having a tough time that day actually going into that match because of personal things. So just that day, the way that it ended was incredible for me just because I'm very proud of myself for being able to get through that and then being able to come out with the W2 at the end of that, especially because uh, I didn't know how things were going to go that day for me. But stepping in there with a guy like that, being able to face someone that's done it all, I mean, incredible experience.
Definitely. Um, and then at the next show, January 17th, you defend your CSW championship against somebody who some would consider in the Chicago area to be a legend, Gringo Loco. Are you excited for that match? And what can we expect in that title defense?
Definitely. Yeah, I've never got to face him actually at all the AAWs, CSWs. I mean, we've been in the same locker room a lot, and we've never got to do anything together yet. So I'm very excited for it. What people can expect are probably a lot of aerial things. I think that'll be really good. He calls himself the base god. I mean, I'm 265 pounds, so I know that stuff works with all those other dudes. I don't know. I don't know
I
what.
don't know if it's going to work with you.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But I think it'll be a good one regardless, and I don't think anyone wants to miss this show. So
Definitely. Um, Before I ask you my final question, I'm going to ask you a little bit about TNA. Got to do two spots on TNA recently. One against Hammerstone, a massive individual, and another one against Japanese legend Kushida. What was it like working TNA Explosion, and what was it like working those guys?
TNA is amazing. I really enjoyed my time with TNA. It's another one of those things where I was a little kid flipping through the channels when I first discovered anything other than WWE. It was TNA, and just watching guys like AJ Styles, and then when Jeff Hardy made the leap over there, and he's my favorite of all time. It's insane to me because I'm in the locker room with my favorite wrestler of all time. I'm getting ready to wrestle for one of the biggest promotions in the world, and everything there is awesome. Being able to wrestle Hammerstone, a guy that I've been around on indie shows and all that stuff, cool because we never got to do anything anywhere else. And then Kushida was just another learning experience, a guy that's got so much knowledge and has been around the block and has done everything and wrestled for every single company you can imagine. So very, very much so grateful that I've had my time with TNA. It won't be the last time that I'm there, and you guys got to kind of keep your eye out for that. So,
Okay,
yep.
definitely excited. Great matches, and I'm looking forward to what's next and seeing if we can get you back on TNA because it looks like somewhere where you belong. You look like you belong in that environment.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's somewhere that I definitely want to be. Somewhere that I'll learn, and that's all I want to do. I want to be able to do this for the rest of my life. I love professional wrestling. I've been obsessed with it. It's been the most constant thing and consistent thing in my life. It's got me away from a lot of things that have been darker in my life, and I just want to be able to. I want to be able to make this business better. I want to be able to leave it better than the way that I found it, and contributing and being a great worker, a great person, a locker room guy, and um, TNA is definitely the place that I want to be able to do that. All the indie stuff is great. I love working for all these places, but I'm pretty sure in 2025, um, it's my time now. It's my time to show the world what I do and what I can do and what I will do. So yeah.
Okay. My last question, and it's just how I end every show. Um, if you had to pick four guys to be on your Mount Rushmore, who would those be?
Okay. All right. This is a very like, I mean, on mine, that this question is very tough because like you got the guys where it's like, how could you not choose like Hulk Hogan and stuff like I don't that was before me. Like I don't there's with me growing up, if I had to choose for just myself and what they've done for me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to say Jeff Hardy because he's my favorite wrestler of all time.
Okay.
I'll say Triple H. I'll have to say, hmm, hmm. This is a tough one because I don't want to name like some of like the newer dudes just because like I'm just strictly basing it off of like when I was a little kid growing up. Jeff Hardy, Triple H, The Rock, and probably Rey Mysterio to be completely honest.
Okay. I
Yeah,
like that. And
yeah,
I appreciate you putting your personal into it. Some people just run off the top four guys that
yeah. Have to do the top four. I guess you could. I mean, you have to say like Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, John Cena, and then like Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns.
Roman. That's usually the four I get
Replace
whenever.
I'm gonna replace Ray with Roman because Roman is the GOAT. He's my tribal chief. Let's get it.
Okay. I appreciate it, man. I This was fun. We'll have to do it again. There's a whole lot more we could cover. Um, I just want to say thank you for coming on the podcast, giving me your time. Um, it was an experience.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and definitely like you coming out to the shows and supporting all of us. And I just thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, I will see you January 17th. And as far as the podcast goes, maybe we can see you on here on down the line.
Yeah, we'll do it again sometime for sure.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you later, man.
Sounds good, man, bro.